Welcome back, Sister on City TV and City FM, brought to you by Vodafone and Good Day Energy Drink. So, sisters, says this message, my husband and I have been married for a few months now. During our courtship days, he told me about a young girl he referred to as his daughter, and they both attended the same church. I didn't like their interactions on WhatsApp and other social media platforms. I later found out that the girl used to like him and they were both planning on meeting each other, but because I was mostly with him, their meetings never happened. I was really not comfortable with their relationship. I confronted him so many times to stop talking to this particular girl, but he didn't listen. The girl won an American lottery, traveled to the US a year before we got married. We're married now, and they vibe now more than ever. He claims he sent her money to try the lottery she won, so she feels indebted to him. She sometimes calls him late at night through WhatsApp voice calls and video calls, and whether he's home or at work, he doesn't mind picking up. I find this very odd. If he's home and I'm available, they'll talk for about 20 minutes and end the call. If he's at work, they can speak for over an hour. Only God knows what on earth they're talking about. I found out all this when I took his phone. He sometimes asks her for money when he's in need of urgent money funds. And this is without informing me. Jess, can you imagine that they have intimate conversations to the extent of telling that 20-year-old girl how we can make love? He also told her how he also loves her sex game. I think this is getting out of hand because I've been quiet for a very long time. How do I put a stop to this nonsense? I need some advice, and I need it quick. Mansa, let me come to you with this one. I don't know how you feel about this.
I really feel for this lady. But I will look at this from two different angles. One, but what would a married man be talking to about a married man discussing with a 20-year-old? I feel there is something going on. And the lady in question, that is the 20-year-old girl, is also Akwalabone, because you know this man is married. And he's with his family, and you are in the US. Why don't you, at your 20-year-old life, find a life and something for yourself? Try to find a life for yourself and leave this married man alone. I think the lady can actually do something. She may also want to find a cousin, a friend, a work colleague, something like any man who would also be calling her and chit-chatting, laughing at their leisure times, for the man to also know that, he also has somebody he's been talking to or somebody he can talk to. And when the man realizes that, I'm sure he will sit up. Because this is so sad. And the man shouldn't have even started in the first place. But yes, he has started. I think the lady can take this route by also finding somebody, a cousin or something, with nothing going on, and then try to have some conversations with him at all times, just as the man also does with this little girl. And when he realizes that somebody is also taking away his wife, he would have a sense of how it feels to go through that. And then gradually, he'll come back to his senses. I think that's what she has to do.
Okay. So I guess for you, it's more of the whole tit for tat thing, but doesn't it, at the end of the day, leave the world blind?
But I think he needs to have a feel of his own medicine.
Okay. I don't know if you agree.
Well, first of all, on the tit for tat completely, I think that would be nice. It would be nice to have that person to chat with. I think that is very obvious there's something going on. I think the wife is deluding herself. Like, she knows there's something going on, but I don't know what else you want to see. How would your husband, who doesn't have any sexual relationship with someone, tell the person that he loves their sex game? How would he know? How would he be privy? Because no one can describe their sex game in order for someone else to be able to love it if you haven't experienced it. So it's clear that there's something going on, but I guess the wife is... she's seen all the evidence. You're seeing how long he spends talking to her. You see the relationship. You know there's something off, but I guess she doesn't want to believe that her husband is capable of doing this. but he's cheating, or he has cheated. Well, he's cheated and he's cheating, because even though it's just phone conversations at the moment, but he's still maintaining, and it's an emotional form of cheating where he's still maintaining this relationship with this woman. In regards to the girl being a Kolabonede, like that girl, she's 20 years old. She owes nobody any loyalty. She's not the one married to the man. She didn't go before God and man and promise whatever. So for me, I'm not going to be here blaming her. She's young and impressionable. So I don't understand why a married man will be engaging in certain conversations with a 20-year-old. Yes, she's an adult, but she's a very young adult, and he should know better. He really should know better. And the fact that he's been engaging her, and to the point that he talks to her in his wife's presence, how disrespectful. Like, this is a man who doesn't even respect his wife. It's one thing to be talking to women when your wife is not there, but then in her presence, when you're exchanging such messages about sex, it's clearly a woman you've had sex with, and you're speaking to her in your wife's presence, you're entertaining her. Even if you're doing something, you'll stop to talk to this girl. So he's already demonstrated to the wife that this girl means more to him than her. And I just don't understand why she's asking. She's still kind of in this kind of confused state when like literally, what else does she want to see? Does she want to see a video of them having sex before she accepts the fact that her husband is having sex with this young girl? So Midia, like, I think she needs to decide what she wants to do, right, and confront him properly about the fact that he's cheating on her, and then she can decide what she wants to do.
Right. Demi, let me come to you. What's your take? And I'll just take your general comments on this, but what's your take on this? Like, is there like a best practice when it comes to how to conduct yourself when your partner's there? And I'm saying this in reference to the fact that he just takes the girl's calls, video call, audio calls, anytime, and talks for minutes on end. And it seems like it's a regular thing, reason why, the wife is complaining.
Yes, Jessica. Clearly, he as the married man has gone past boundaries. There are the rules of engagement. You're married, like Felicity said, you are the one who took the vows. You are the one who has the responsibility to honor those vows. And in those vows, it says, forsaking all others, right? Till death do us part. So you're clearly not forsaking all others, because you're prioritizing this woman. You pick her calls whenever she calls, at home, at work. So she comes before all of those things. That honor that you should assign your wife is what you're clearly assigning this 20-year-old friend, which clearly is not a friend. So I don't understand why he is allowing this to continue, and why she also, on the other hand, has let it happen. Because, of course, you can't control another grown person's behavior, but he's clearly engaging in activity that are outside the bounds of marriage. Now, you can have friends of the opposite sex when you're married, but there are rules to things, and there's appropriateness and things that go beyond that. One of the best ways is to include your spouse in that friendship. Perhaps you were friends already. Oh, so I'm Demi, I get a call from a male friend, maybe somebody I grew up with, somebody I may have gone to school with. Hello? Oh, honey, Robert called, and he was even asking of you. That's a friendship. That's a friendship with, clear boundaries. He doesn't, if this is an example of Robert does not call me at inappropriate times. When my husband is around, I can clearly, or feel free to pick up his calls. We can talk. It can even be on speaker. He can also say hello, because, we're driving. My husband and I were off to so and so. He's here. Oh, say hi. Those are appropriate friendships that we can all have with members of the opposite sex. However, if you're doing all these things outside those boundaries, then you have left certain lines behind, and you are clearly engaging in things. Especially, I was alarmed when he said, the lady's letter said that they talk about sex and her sex game. How do you know? How did you come to find this out? And clearly there's something going on. So she has to pause, reset, have a real heart to heart with him. And this is not when you're crying or anything. You're not shouting either, but you're using your pinky finger. You're saying, listen, let me explicitly put it to you in clear and uncertain terms that this cannot keep going on. Okay, you're not disrespecting him and pointing, but I use my pinky finger. You're letting him know that this is grown woman talk. We're not playing, and I'm over this, and we're done. And you better put this to bed. Otherwise, we're escalating things. So let him know that we're done. Cut it out. Put an end to it. Put her in a coffin, shoot her in the back of the head, throw her over a cliff. That's how done we're about to be.
You're not, okay, so for starters, I didn't even know about the pinky finger thing. Like, what's...
Oh, it's just my thing. It's just my thing.
It certainly catches attention, though, so that's good.
Yes.
Great. This story is just, I don't know, it's hard to believe that, it's been left to fester as long as it has.
But for me, I just think even the ultimate disrespect is also the fact that he's discussed their sex life. How can you... I think it's so disrespectful to discuss your sex life with your wife, with anybody.
Right.
Especially a 20-year-old
girl.
Like, and you're discussing what happens between myself and my partner. It's just... That is so disrespectful, and for me, it just speaks volumes about the type of man that this is.
Right.
I am actually really enraged about that.
Right.
About the fact that you're discussing how can you have sex with your wife and go and discuss it with a girl. It's not even like, let's say you're having some issues in sex, for example, with your wife, and you're discussing it with your friend, like, okay, I don't really know like what to do, or maybe my wife, we're not, you should discuss it with your partner anyway, but if you can't, then sometimes you do need to seek external other opinions. You're not getting that kind of opinion from a 20-year-old. So why are you telling her this? Is a way to denigrate your wife.
Right.
That's what he's doing. And probably the fact that he's even telling her your sex game is great, it's probably he's even doing comparisons like, oh, she can't do this the way you do it. You do this and she can't do that. That's what he's doing.
What's with him borrowing money from this girl? That's so out of place. Like, you would think that maybe he was the one expending, but it's like he's rather taking from this girl abroad. If I were his wife, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't stand for that at all. Like, not on any kind of level. And I would force him to take a stand, But also, this story sort of gives us an opportunity to talk about privacy when it comes to relationships. Like, is there anything like, this is my phone, this is your phone, your phone is yours, mine is mine. Like, let's have a chat about that for a second here. What do you ladies think?
Okay, personally, I wouldn't want to go on my partner's phone, and I wouldn't want them to go on my phone.
Okay.
But I do think that in certain relationships, if both parts, if anyone thinks, okay, I want to be able to go on your phone, then they should also extend that same courtesy to the other one.
Right.
So those rules should be discussed between the two of you, because I think sometimes phone conversations can be misconstrued. For example, someone could say, hey, Han, to someone, that it doesn't necessarily mean that they have... It's not that deep, but then you read hey, Han, and be like, hey, who is that calling you Han? And then you might get upset over something that's really very jovial and it meant nothing. It was very friendly. So that's why I'm quite against like people snooping.
Right.
But at the same time, if you feel like your husband is cheating or whoever is cheating and you need some extra evidence, Charlie, go in there and get that. Sometimes people need that evidence so that it becomes real to them. But a lot of women go into the phones to find the evidence, and they still know they're not going to leave. They're still going to stay. So what are you getting the evidence for? So that you can just hurt yourself and let him know, but then you're still with him.
Right.
Only take that evidence if you know that if you find out that he is cheating, then you're going to be leaving. But what's the point of you finding out he's cheating and then you tell him, hey, I found out you're cheating, and then you still stay? How's that going to make him reform his behavior? Because you found out. Now he's just going to become a smarter thief,
right,
who deletes his messages, who makes sure you never find out again. That's all he's going to do.
Mansa, what do you think about this, the whole phone?
Personally, I do not subscribe to going through your partner's phone, because I know that what you do not know will not kill you or will not hurt you. Once you know, you would always be wanting to find out more. And so not starting at all is better. So I would not subscribe to her going through the partner's phone, no.
Okay.
But the story was not explicit as to whether they have already discussed it as couple, as in the lady and the husband talking about this 20-year-old girl and the kind of things they discussed.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like she
You know.
sort of has the information and she hasn't let her husband in on it yet, you know? So she's just writing
Yes,
to the
so,
show more for our input.
And okay, I don't believe.
So I, sorry.
Go
So
ahead,
I
Nancy.
think because he even decides to go on the tit for tat kind of approach to
Okay. All right, Demi, you want to weigh in finally on this one?
Sure, I would say certainly. I mean, to each couple their own. I would not personally have to go through my partner's phone. I have no reason to. However, if once you do actually have that third voice, that intuition telling you, and women, God gave us something called intuition, and it's usually spot on if it's well trained and honed. If you have that just something ain't quite right, you know, you can gather your evidence, and you can find all kinds of ways to gather your evidence. And if that has come to a point where it then includes going through a phone, well, okay. But generally, it's not a routine thing. Let me check your phone. Let me check your phone periodically to try to find something. That speaks to a lot of mistrust in the relationship, and that does not generally bode well for the future of a relationship of that nature. So usually, I would say no. But then if things have built up, many little lies here and there, things not quite adding up, a change in behavior and all of those things. And if you do wish to gather further evidence, of course, we all want data. We trust in God, but everybody has to provide data. So if you need data to actually be able to put it to someone that, you know, here, this and this and this, and you're not going to stand for that, then, you know, all's well in love and war, they say.
Yeah. Well, I'll wrap up this particular message just by saying that I think you should sit down and, you know, talk to your husband. I mean, this whole thing of him accepting WhatsApp calls from this particular girl you've warned him about has to stop. And until you let him know that you totally disagree with what's happening, you know, it's gonna continue. You know, so there's that. There's all the other stuff that's going on in the background. You know, just have an honest conversation with him and let him know what you'll stand for and what you won't. And he has to, you know, compromise because he's in the relationship with you and not a third party. We'll go for a quick break. Once again, when we come back, another message.